Hi guys, almost a decade ago I came across a blog by a Hamza Tzortzis, a Greek convert to Islam. Since I was focusing at the time on the KCA, the Kalam version of the cosmological argument, and the different ways of a rebuttal, I jumped at his copy of the Dr. Craig presentation I found on his blog and challenged it. Now, needless to say, my rebuttal and challenge was quickly removed. You see, where I tend to address issues verbally and try to use my intellect to solve differences and problems, Muslim apologists usually resort to either violence or censorship. They don't really have any arguments and must use underhand tactics or violence to protect their feeble and weak ideology. Now, anyway, soon after that, Tzortzis appeared as part of a newly founded company, a-theists. This is the Islamic Education Research Academy or something like this, or European Research. I don't know. It's neither research and it's neither academy. It's just an apologetics pool, and they collect money for I don't know what. Since I was a bit miffed at my unceremonial dismissal, I decided to keep an eye on him and his claims. When he became more active, I started responding, and by means of videos and a bit of a tussle broke out between us. But he was too scared to tackle me head on, in spite of my numerous invites and challenges. Now, if I remember correctly, only once did he have the guts to address me directly in a Facebook post. He quickly deleted again as I publicly analyzed and ridiculed it. Now, 5 or 6 years ago, he was dismantled and humiliated by academics he himself challenged. And so he left the debate arena to lick his wounds. And now he has apparently also left Naira for whatever reasons and has become a different kind of professional Muslim, one who provides confirmation to other Muslims, who admittedly are really being hit hard currently by the deconstruction of the Qur'an, its reliability, and even worse, credibility. Now, unfortunately, it turns out he is still the same dishonest and deceptive apologist with weak arguments. He is still easily refuted and rattled, so he's not gained any experience or has changed to a higher level of morality, efficiency, or integrity. It's actually quite sad. Now, in this video, I will take 3 short videos of his to demonstrate what I'm talking about. I took them from the YouTube recommendation bar and did not select them for any specific contents. Now, my goal is to show that Hamza Tzortzis, even though mentally, I must admit, he is leaps and bounds ahead and above, the normal speaker's corner apologists like Hijab, Sabur, Imran, Mansa, and all the other guys. And don't even compare him to Ali Dawa, like this Hamza, Darren Redbeard, Adnan Rashid, Abbas, and, these really low-level serfs we so frequently encounter at London's Speaker's Corner. But Tzortzis is still not able to provide anything convincing or even challenging. And as hard as he might try and as effective his state of delusion might trick him into believing, he simply cannot deliver the goods. There's nothing intellectually challenging here. Now, I still consider Christian apologetics to be more sophisticated and refined, with logical twists and turns, and, they require more brain power and on-the-ball thinking and responding. But that's just my personal opinion and my impression when watching skilled people using creativity and amazing reasoning capabilities discussing their respective attitudes and beliefs, or lack thereof. Now, the first video that I picked, which is the Ultimate Challenge 3, the claim is as follows.
In order for the problem of evil and suffering argument to work, they have to show that there is a logical incompatibility between divine wisdom and knowledge and evil and suffering in the world.
Okay, I must admit, I don't quite understand why he chose this topic. Because when comparing the claims surrounding the nature of this God and what we find in the real world, there's a glaring discrepancy. So much so that it is quite obvious that this God can't possibly exist. And I'll use a tiny example of what I'm talking about. It seems Tzortzis is used to talking to uneducated fools, since he repeats his statement like talking to a child, and it's already wrong. Now, first off, it doesn't work, but is a problem when looking at the claims made around or concerning this specific God of and in Islam. Secondly, this is a classic demonstration of shifting the burden of proof. Now, Islam, the Qur'an, Muslims, apologists, they're just making claims regarding their brilliant and fantastic God, and they need to provide the necessary justification for their huge claims. Also, it's not just about wisdom and knowledge, but more and primarily on ability, morality, and a benevolent creator God. And that is where we have a contradiction here. Now, there are explicit instructions within Islamic texts regulating the treatment of animals, like in the Sunnah. And in the real world, this is not reflected at all. In this video, we see a caterpillar which is still alive, where the larvae of the wasp leave the host which has been used as food. The caterpillar has been infected by a virus and will even defend the larvae against other insects who want to eat them. The wounded and starving caterpillar then dies, never experiencing what it is like to be a butterfly. Now my question is, theoretically, could an all-powerful, all-merciful, and all-knowing creator/God not find a better way of creating wasps other than causing the endless suffering and eventual death of an innocent animal? Now, none of these insects have read the Qur'an. They are acting purely on instinct, how they were programmed, how they were created by nature. Now, if the Islamic God were the creator of everything, it must be the most brutal, cruel, and uncaring of all creators, gods, goddesses, or whatever, to plan something like this, or it does not exist. Now, you can't be benign, merciful, and sadistic at the same time. And we see exactly the cruelty that is being condemned above. But will Muslims admit it is cruel if it is their God that is cruel? Will Muslims condemn cruelty if it is assigned to their God? So after just a few minutes, we see huge problems with the tactics and approach of an Islamic apologist like Hamza Tzortzis. None of this is straight, honest, and rational. Now, in another video called My Fellow Sufferer, blah, 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 Tzortzis starts off by declaring that a naturalist, a philosophical naturalist at that, can't have the hope of something positive when dead. Ultimate hope. Ultimate hope. Is there such a thing as non-ultimate hope?
If you're a philosophical naturalist, there is no ultimate hope of something positive to happen at the end of your existence.
What exactly is this ultimate hope? He's just throwing around words, just to impress people. Anyone can or cannot have hope of anything. Or has he somehow established somewhere along the line what exactly happens when you die? Did I miss something here? A philosophical naturalist simply states that the natural world is all there is. And if something positive happens at the end of your life, then this is a demonstrable fact and will be generally accepted. And if not, you can still hope there is, and that you're wrong. Like, I would love for there to be a God, a celestial policeman, but you can't get all that you want. So until someone demonstrates a God or goddess, they don't exist. It's a pity, but that what you see is what there is. Is it honest and does it demonstrate integrity to only mention philosophical naturalism and leave out methodological naturalism, which has way less strict claims attached to it? Why would he leave that out? Neither of them has any statement regarding death and hopes connected to death. Neither has any idea of an afterlife. Neither which way. He next does what theists love doing, that is quoting others, regardless of how inane and useless this is. It's just the personal opinion of someone else. And Tzortzis has not made a point, really, that could be substantiated by quoting someone else.
And this reminds me of the words of the pessimist philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. He wrote the book on the evils and sufferings of the world. And he basically argues that our form of address shouldn't be Monsieur, Mr. or my friend. I don't know if he said my friend, or what's the German word for my friend? I forgot. But basically he said our address shouldn't be Monsieur or Mr. or mein Herr. That's the one. Rather, it should be Socium Malorum, companion de miseris. Right? My fellow sufferers.
What is strange is he makes a complete mess of the quote. And it seems he misunderstands what Schopenhauer was referring to, the concept of original sin in Christianity. Now, interestingly enough, there are people who attempt to merge naturalistic ideas with supernaturalistic fantasies. So patternism, for example, does that. But then again, I was not unhappy before I was born, and I don't see why these things should change after I die. Now, Tzortzis then goes into this Islamic groove of purpose and meaning.
If you're an atheist, has no purpose, has no kind of meaning, there is no hope.
Both things he claims are vital and can't be at the atheist's disposal. Do they exist for a human being? No. I'm not a toaster and have accomplishments, authenticity, challenges, compassion, decency, empathy, equality, ethics, honesty, integrity, kindness, logic, love, myself, reason, satisfaction, and I could carry on because I'm sure there's more. Now, Muslims do have a purpose, which is to obey what an old book says their cruel and immoral God demands from them. Their life is all about suffering. I can eat, wear, drink, consume anything I want at any time I choose. A Muslim can't. I can have sex with whoever I want in any place, at any time, in any position, as long as it's consensual, of course. A Muslim can't. So there's so many things that make my life much richer than that of a Muslim. But in general, Muslims can't. They need to suffer. And Tzortzis tries to turn this failure into a feature.
The last few years, you might get cancer. 1 in 2 people, I believe, in the West are going to get cancer. You're going to die in hospital. You're going to get sick. Something's going to happen.
Completely bungling the entire story. Just as an atheist can get cancer, so can a Muslim. And anything he associates with an atheist applies equally to a Muslim. There's no special treatment here. And his superficial attempt at painting the atheist as a pitiful and sad person completely backfires when compared to reality, where the happiest and most content people are regularly found in non-theist countries, and Islamic countries are the worst. That is reality. Something, it seems, he is unable to grasp. He simply runs on the association of naturalist with atheist, a connection that may be there, but then again, it may not be. So once again, a silly, unthinking presentation which will impress unthinking and gullible fellow Muslims, but nobody else. And then in the third video that popped up, there was social atheism and the Pakistani atheist funny. No, it's not funny at all. It's a demonstration of superficial and shallow thinking. It is based on the assumption that there is something like an atheist who, in spite of the clear existence of a God of sorts, will risk eternal torture because it is A, the latest fashion, and B, cool to be an atheist.
Social atheist. They just do not believe in any gods by mere choice. It's a social choice, not an intellectual position. It's more of it's the absence of any rational investigation. It's merely a lifestyle choice.
That is so silly. You could try being a gullible and deluded reality denier. It's like trying to be a homosexual when you're not. It's not something that you could choose. You can pretend for a while, but you can't really do this and not continue doing this. Now, if a theist makes claims without being able to substantiate those claims, I can reject those without an in-depth investigation. I don't need to spend hours on these silly claims.
Now, this is no different from someone who basically believes in fairies or astrology, really. So it could be that someone is an atheist or even a theist because they have a need to belong, not because of any rational investigation.
Now, the question Tzortzis asks, and which demonstrates his really sad level of intellect, is how a belief in gods or goddesses is different from an absence of a belief. How can he do this? No, come on, yes, either it is snowing or it is not snowing. Either a woman is pregnant or she's not pregnant. And either gods exist or they don't exist. It is binary. The other fact he completely ignores is that it is far more dangerous to be an atheist in many countries, even in the 21st century. So it is far more easy and far more acceptable to have some sort of God belief, even today, and even in some non-Muslim countries. Yet, in spite of the danger, millions of Muslims leave Islam.
24% of Muslim youth are leaving Islam.
Clerics, as well as run-of-the-mill apologists, are getting worried about this, since they seek security and confirmation in numbers. That is fast disappearing. So the factor of peer pressure has its limits, even though I agree, yeah, it works to a surprising extent due to badly developed brains. And there's nature at work for you, or an incompetent, bumbling designer. Next, Hamza Tzortzis shows what a dishonest person he really is, and that he will do anything to protect and defend his weak God. He lists things associated with human beings according to Islam.
We have a ruh, we have a soul, we have a qalb, we have a heart, we have a nafsiyah, we have a psychological disposition, we have a fitra, we have an innate disposition. And all of these things are interplaying together.
Now, if I pick just one of these, what he is fully aware of is that him and me, we had an interaction several times on this fitra thing, the claim that humans have a built-in disposition towards gods. And I conclusively demonstrated that, number one, this doesn't exist, and number two, the very opposite is true. I showed him that the two heroes you used to bring up, Christian apologists, lied and deceived. And this Parerga had to retract his statements when he was confronted by Professor Grayling. Yet here he is repeating what he knows full well is not true, in order to deceive Muslims and non-Muslims alike. This is Hamza Tzortzis. Now, I happen to have researched his claims and found them to be false claims. But most people have not and will not. And they will believe this because Tzortzis states these claims with a conviction that some might take for certainty, when it's just lies. Even though the Qur'an clearly states, don't do this. Don't confound truth with falsehood, bring your proof when you argue, where you have no knowledge, and if you deceive, and so on. He does not seem to care. And finally, to end a really sad performance.
And you're like, why are you an atheist? And they have no clue, just because, it just seems more intellectual, and it just seems more dominant, and it seems more, plausible than anything else, not by virtue of any rational investigation, just by virtue of the social movement, and because it seems to be dominant and seems to be, powerful, and it seems to be, I don't know.